The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are in the world. Welcome to this Executive Partner webinar by Singapore Tourism Board. Thank you all for joining. Today we'll be hearing from Britt Ulrich, who is the Manager Leisure Tourism at Singapore Tourism Board, one of our Diamond Executive Partners. But before we hand over to Britt, I'd just like to go over a couple of housekeeping items for you as attendees. The first is if you have any questions, as an attendee, you'll be on mute, but you will be able to ask your questions on the using the questions function on GoToWebinar, and Britt will address those during her webinar. The other housekeeping item I would like to address is that this webinar will be recorded and it will be uploaded onto our CLIA Global YouTube channel, so it will be available to play and listen to afterwards. Once again, thank you everyone for joining, and I would just like now to introduce Britt Ulrich from Singapore Tourism Board. So Britt, I'm handing over to you.
Thank you very much, Emily. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking time to join me today. My name is Britt Sorensen Ulrich, and I'm Manager Leisure Tourism with Singapore Tourism Board, located in New York. And it will be my pleasure to introduce you to the amazing destination of Singapore today. This is what I look like. During the next 30 minutes, this presentation will give you insight into Singapore and why your clients should be visiting Singapore in 2020 and beyond, whether it's by cruise or by land. I'll cover information about cruise lines servicing Singapore and what your clients can experience on pre-cruise stays. I will also introduce you to some of the resources that we have available to you as the travel agent. And of course, we have time for any questions that you may have later on. So Singapore is a community built on diverse people coming together to follow their passions and to work together to build something out of nothing. Originally, Singapore was just a small fishing village founded as a British trading post in the early 1800s. But this thriving island quickly grew to become a magnet for new immigrants from China, India, the Malay archipelago, and beyond. And just 52 short years ago, Singapore gained its independence. Singapore is built upon the passion and relentlessness of its forefathers to build a better future. In the face of these many challenges, Singapore has recently launched a new brand called Passion Made Possible, which is a story that is intimately intertwined with the country's history and our present-day spirit as a nation. Singapore, an island nation in Southeast Asia, is located just off the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula between Malaysia and Indonesia, as you can see here. Singapore is located 1 degree north of the equator, and this means that the tropical weather is enjoyable weather year-round. So it's on average about 88 degrees during the day and 77 at night. So Singapore is truly a year-round destination. So even though the entire country is about 1/6 the size of Miami-Dade County and has about 5 million inhabitants, Singapore has overcome great challenges to become a global city with a plethora of diverse experiences and possibilities to offer. And here's the top 5 reasons why Singapore is the perfect stop in Southeast Asia. You travel in style, or your clients will travel in style. Changi Airport was named World's Best Airport by Skytrax for 4 straight years. And of course, the famed Singapore Airlines has also been named Travel + Leisure's World's Best Airline for 23 consecutive years. Oh, actually, I forgot, it's 24 years because they were just named World's Best Airline again. And you definitely ease into Asia. Singapore is very green. It's definitely very clean, it's very safe, and it's so easy to navigate, whether it's by public transportation or walking. And I think what is more importantly for your client as well is that English is a national language, making Singapore perfect for first-timers in Asia. And Singapore is definitely also the cruise hub of Southeast Asia. Major cruise lines like Royal Caribbean, Crystal, Cunard, Celebrity, Holland America, Seabourn, just to name a few, offer turnarounds in Singapore, making it very easy for pre- and post-cruise stays for your clients. And there's plenty of cultural singlers in Singapore. Singapore is made up of pioneers from all over Asia and has several ethnic neighborhoods like Little India, Chinatown, and Kampong Glam, which is the Malay neighborhood in Singapore. But I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. I also wanted to share with you some of the top reasons why you should recommend Singapore as the destination to visit in 2020 to your clients. Crazy Rich Asian movie, I think you all heard about that one. You've probably already seen it also. Not only was it a great movie, but it also showcased Singapore as an exciting destination to visit for your clients. Though I do promise your clients will not have to be crazy rich to visit Singapore. There is something for everybody in Singapore. And then Jewel at Changi Airport, which opened this past April, is adding a whole new dimension for travelers and locals alike, including making cruising the easiest ever. But I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. There's also the new Orchid Design Center, which is a part, part incubator for and showcase of local Singaporean designers. And it's really the place to visit for all things local and for your clients who would like to bring home something from local designers, whether it's clothes or ceramics or jewelry. And hosted for the first time in Asia, we'll be hosting the World's 50 Best Bars Awards in 2021, and we'll also hold the World's 50 Best Talks in 2020, which is also our first for Singapore. I will delve into the nightlife in Singapore in a little while. And of course, there are more frequent flights to Singapore from the East Coast and West Coast, with the latest gateway added to as a nonstop gateway is out of Seattle's Tacoma Airport. As the gateway and the #1 cruise hub in Southeast Asia, Singapore is the preferred home port of numerous cruise lines such as Royal Caribbean and Princess, Celebrity, Seaboard, and Holland America, like I mentioned earlier. And with numerous turnaround cruises, Singapore is really the perfect destination for your clients to explore on a pre- and post-cruise stay. As it was once a humbling fishing village, Singapore is now the world's most connected hub by sea and air. Singapore's Changi Airport has been consistently voted as the world's best airport and has become a destination unto itself. Travelers are greeted by a 4-story indoor slide, a butterfly garden in an airport, that's pretty nice, and many other surprising features. Singapore Airlines offer the most non-stop flights to Singapore with connections from Newark Airport, which is actually also the longest flight in the world at 19 hours. Also have one-stop service from New York's JFK Airport, one-stop from Los Angeles LAX, and non-stop from San Francisco's SFO Airport. And this past September, Singapore Airlines added the latest non-stop route from Seattle's Tacoma Airport. There's also one-stop flights from Houston, Texas as well. So in total, the airline currently offers about 27 weekly non-stop and 26 one-stop departures from the US to Singapore. And I should also mention United Airlines, which offers 2 daily non-stop departures from San Francisco. And of course, there are several other airlines offering one-stop service to Singapore, such as American Airlines, Ava Air, Cathay Pacific, and Emirates, of course. So a little bit about the cruise infrastructure in Singapore. Singapore has 2 cruise terminals, both located no more than 20 minutes from Changi Airport. And the Singapore Cruise Center that you see here on the left is near the Sentosa Island in the Resorts World Sentosa. And the Marina Bay Cruise Center is close to Marina Bay Sands and the Gardens by the Bay. You'll hear more about these attractions a little bit later. But I can say or tell you that in general, both cruise ports are within the city center. They're really, really close. Like Marina Bay Cruise is maybe 10, 15 minutes taxi ride or transfer to Raffles Hotel, which is right in the city center. There's, of course, several modes of transportation available to your clients, such as mentioned, taxis, private transfers, and there's also public transportation as well, our underground train, MRT. We also offer the fly cruise service for your clients, and I'll tell you a little more about that in a little bit. I just have a couple other things I'd like to go through. The Jewel Changi Airport, which I mentioned earlier, is the latest attraction in Singapore, which means that your client's vacation starts as soon as they land at Changi Airport. The Jewel Changi Airport is a destination in itself and will house a breathtaking 131 feet tall cascading rain vortex, the tallest indoor waterfall in the world, as you can see here in the picture. It also has a 5-floor terrace garden housing one of Singapore's largest indoor plant collections. There's a canopy park on the top level, which includes the canopy mazes, discovery slides, and sky nets as well. And more importantly, there's also it's also a shopping paradise and a foodie's heaven with more than 280 retail and dining outlets as well. So the Jewel is actually accessible for both locals and travelers alike. It's not just part of the Changi Airport infrastructure. You can actually access it whether you're flying or not. So I think this makes it really attractive as well. For cruise passengers specifically, Jewel at Changi Airport promises to enhance the fly cruise experience to Singapore through a seamless baggage transfer service. Passengers who check in their luggage as per normal from the departure airport here in the US. And upon arrival in Changi Airport, cruise passengers can then breeze through the immigration control, relax at Jewel's new cruise lounge, and take a tour of Singapore before boarding their cruise, all without the need to worry about picking up the luggage from the carousel, as they'll be sent directly to their cruise cabin. Fly cruise doesn't get any easier than this. A number of cruise lines service Singapore throughout the year. What I've listed here is sort of end of 2019 through 2021. And it's simply just a snapshot of some of the major cruise lines that are including Singapore in the itinerary for 2020 and 2021. The listed cruise departures are mostly turnarounds and allows for pre and post cruise stays in Singapore as well. Cruise lines actually have also increased their calls on Singapore, testifying how popular cruising into and out of Singapore has come. We're definitely the cruise hub in Southeast Asia. And what will your clients experience when in Singapore, which is just as important? When traveling into the city, your clients are welcomed by a stunning city skyline, just as you see here, that is constantly innovating with forward-thinking design and new marvels of modern construction, such as Marina Bay Sands, the 3-tower building pictured here to your left, which is connected at the top by a sky park, which is actually said to look like a floating cruise ship, and I think so too. The Mammoth Complex dominates the entire bayfront area. It comprises 3 hotel towers, celebrity restaurants, the Art Science Museum, which is actually the lotus-looking building on the left in the picture, and much more. And on the rooftop sky park is where you find the most Instagram-worthy picture in Singapore. The awe-inspiring infinity pool, which provides an incredible view and experience, is located on the 57th floor. There are also rooftop restaurants and bars such as C'est La Vie, Lavo, and Spargo, and an observation deck for visitors and hotel guests to enjoy. The observation deck actually has 360-degree views of Singapore, which is amazing both during the day and at night as well. This pool is quite popular, and you can view it when you have clients going to the observation deck. However, in order to be able to swim in it, you have to have your clients stay at the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. Just a little tidbit. And in the heart of the city, you'll find nature around every corner. Singaporeans are passionate about nature and sustainability, so incorporating green spaces and natural elements throughout the island has always been an important part of its urban planning. Singapore prides itself on the way the beauty of nature harmoniously and visibly coexists with the modern development of the cityscape, making it a truly vibrant garden in the city. The most striking, or visibly striking icon of the Singaporean spirit of sustainability is the Gardens by the Bay, which is a breathtaking green oasis overlooking the Marina Bay. The main attraction are the super trees that you see here. The super trees are not just awe-inspiring, they also provide sustainable functions like collecting rainwater and generating solar power. These 18 super trees are 9 to 16 story tall vertical gardens that feature a variety of plants growing inside of them. Your clients can also enjoy the aerial walkway winding through the super trees. One thing I definitely highly recommend that you suggest to your clients is to go to the mesmerizing Garden Rhapsody, which is actually a light and sound show among the super trees. It's really, really quite amazing. It's completely free of charge, and it happens twice each evening. I believe it's 7:45 and 8:45. And near the super trees are two huge futuristic dome structures, the Cloud Forest and the Flower Dome, which are cool conservatories that use cutting-edge technologies for better energy efficiency. Pictured here is the Cloud Forest, which is home to the world's second largest indoor waterfall. The world's first tallest indoor waterfall is now at Jewel at Changi Airport that you saw earlier. And the Flower Dome, which is featured here, is the world's largest glass greenhouse, as it was named by the Guinness Book of World Records. Your clients would enter the world of perpetual spring, where unique plants bloom. And your clients would keep an eye out for the 1,000-year-old Mediterranean olive tree, which is found here. Another testament to the country's reputation as a city in a garden is the lovely Singapore Botanic Gardens, which is a peaceful oasis in the city. A top highlight here is the famous National Orchid Garden, which boasts the world's largest orchid display. And the orchid flower is actually the national flower of Singapore as well, and it's a source of great pride for Singaporeans. You will find over 1,000 species and 2,000 hybrids of orchids on display. And the Singapore Botanic Gardens is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Singapore has a very rich colonial past, and its early migrant legacy can still be found all throughout the island. This has created the wonderfully diverse multicultural makeup of the population that continues to exist today. In Singapore, you'll find diverse places of worship, cuisine, and language that coexist harmoniously. Chinatown in Singapore is definitely the cleanest one you'll find anywhere in the world, and it's a great place to sample traditional dishes, experience traditionally Chinese wellness like reflexology massage, or you can visit the exquisite temples like, excuse me, the famous Buddha Tooth Relic Temple that you see here. It's really stunning architecture and has a wealth of treasures inside, including what's claimed to be a small part of Buddha's tooth. There's also Kampong Glam, which is the Malay enclave in Singapore, and it's home to the colorful street Haji Lane, which is actually the narrowest street in Singapore. This is where you'll also find a row of stores, quirky boutiques, as well as hip bars and cafes and wonderful murals, as you see on the picture. Also in this neighborhood is the beautiful Arab Street with even more shopping, and also the Sultan Mosque. Especially Haji Lane is great for shopping unique wares. And the third cultural neighborhood in Singapore that I want to share with you is Little India. It's one of Singapore's most vibrant districts, and it's a great place to eat authentic Indian food, to shop and visit Hindu temples. You could also visit the oldest restaurant in Singapore, Zam Zam, which I could definitely recommend. It's one of my favorites. And another favorite place is the Mustafa Center, which is really fun to visit. It covers 2 blocks, so it's really quite big. And it's filled with rows and rows of chocolates and foods and cosmetics and many other items. And it's just really a fun place to visit because it sort of gives you an insight, or in this case, it'll give your clients an insight into the vibrant culture of Singapore. I was just in Singapore last week, and I visited Mustafa Center, and I think I shopped a little too much chocolate, but it's all very good though. Singapore, as a crossroad of cultures, is truly reflected in our Peranakan culture, and it has its roots in Singapore being a trading route with a large enclave of Chinese immigrants marrying local Malays. So the term Peranakan actually means local born. Known for the intricate craftwork in the beaded slippers and traditional costumes, eclectic architectural style, and more importantly, the cuisine, which is a blend of rich flavors with complex methods of preparation. Your clients can also visit the Intan, which is actually a private home that houses one of Singapore's most impressive collections of Peranakan artifacts. The owner has spent more than 30 years collecting over 1,500 objects, most notably the Kasut Manik, which are ornate beaded slippers worn by straight Chinese women, as you can see here. These are all beaded slippers. Singapore is definitely also the food capital of Southeast Asia and is perfect for foodies that love trying a range of flavors from all over the world. And one place your clients definitely have to visit is our hawker centers. So if you have seen the Crazy Rich Asian movie, you will recognize that Nick and Rachel went to the Newton Circus Hawker Center for dinner right after they arrived in Singapore, which is also something Singaporeans do as soon as they come back home to Singapore, because food is just a pastime in Singapore. And these hawker centers are open-air food centers that serve a variety of fresh traditional food and desserts. Here you can find master chefs at each stall who have spent their entire working life mastering one particular dish. And your clients can enjoy a good quality 3-course meal, like an appetizer, entree, and dessert for about $10 US. So it's really quite affordable too, and it's absolutely wonderful food. Singapore is also a magnet for the world's top food personalities, with a growing number of world-class celebrity chefs setting up restaurants in Singapore, such as Wolfgang Puck, Gordon Ramsay, and Daniel Boulud, just to name a few. But of course, there's also local chefs as well. Singapore is the first Southeast Asian country to anchor its own Michelin Guide, which features over 30 types of cuisines by 150 establishments. 43 received Michelin stars in 2019, ranging from street food vendors to fine dining establishments, as well as Peranakan dishes. I could also mention that the Michelin-rated restaurant Odette was just named the top restaurant in Asia by the world's 50 best Asian restaurants. Singapore is truly a palate-stimulating paradise for foodies. And in June, this past June, Singapore was host to the annual World's 50 Best Asian Restaurants for the first time in Asia. And in 2020, we were a host to a special edition of the World's 50 Best Talks. So one of our more famous hawkers in Singapore is Chef Chan, pictured right here. From humble beginnings, Chef Chan spent decades perfecting his soy sauce chicken with noodles. And in 2016, he made history by becoming one of the first 2 street food stalls to be awarded the coveted Michelin star. The other food stall is also in Singapore and served minced meat with noodles. So it's pretty amazing. Your clients can go to Singapore and enjoy a Michelin star meal for just a couple of dollars. Another individual that has put Singapore on the world map is Chef Malcolm Lee of Candlenut. His restaurant is the first and only Michelin-starred Peranakan restaurant in the world. Lee has preserved his grandparents' recipes while adding a modern spin to them. His dishes allow guests to experience an authentic glimpse to the Peranakan heritage and culture. I promised to talk a little bit about the nightlife in Singapore as well. So whether your clients want to chill out at a bar or dance the night away, there's something for everyone after dusk in Singapore. Singapore is the best drinking destination in Asia, ranking up 6 spots on the world's 50 best bars 2019 list. Winners in the top 20 include Manhattan at the Regent Hotel. Number 3 is Atlas. Number 8 is Native at Amoy Street, and other very unique bars is like Operation Daiquiri in Nanshang Hill and at 28 Hong Kong Street. And in 2021, the world's 50 Best Bar Awards will be held in Singapore for the very first time. So there's plenty for your clients to, plenty of places for your clients to go and enjoy a cocktail or two while in Singapore. I mentioned Design Orchard a little earlier in the presentation. This past January, Design Orchard Center opened its doors on Orchard Road, which is also the main shopping road in Singapore. The center is a one-stop retail destination along with part incubator for local designers and local art event space. Visitors can immerse themselves with exceptional and exclusively locally designed goods all under one roof. Here you see a few of the local Singaporean designers, such as the Animal Project, which is actually a social enterprise started by a group of parents and friends. The designs are actually based on artworks by people with special needs. And there's also Eden and Ellie jewelry, focusing on hand-weaving techniques in their jewelry. And Singapore has many, many, many wonderful museums, from the National Museum of Singapore, the Asian Civilization Museum, and the Peranakan Museum, to the latest National Gallery of Singapore, which is home to the world's largest public collection of Southeast Asian art with over 8,000 pieces. The museum is really unique because it's located inside two buildings that are national monuments, the former Supreme Court building and City Hall, which both played a pivotal role in Singapore's history. So to move on a little bit to accommodation, Singapore offers a wide range of accommodation that caters to any needs that your clients may have. From 5-star deluxe to unique boutique hotels to well-known brand names, there's really something for everyone. But just in lieu of keeping you here for the next few hours talking about all the hotels in Singapore, I'll focus on just a few newer hotels in Singapore that either have been closed and reopened or just opened in general. So this is just a small sample of what Singapore has to offer your clients for accommodations. The Grand Dame Raffles Hotel Singapore reopened in August this year after an extensive 2-year renovation. The hotel is as elegant as ever and offers 115 suites, a new spa, several new restaurants, including famed restaurateurs such as Alain Ducasse, Sophie Pic, and Jeremy Lung. The much beloved Long Bar, famed for the Singapore slings, is also open. It actually never really closed during the renovation, so you could always get your taste of Singapore slings. And located in the heart of downtown, the Fullerton Hotel and the Fullerton Bay Hotel are iconic hotels in Singapore. The Fullerton Hotel, this is the one, the Fullerton is the one that you see to your left, and to your right is where you see the Fullerton Bay Hotel. So the Fullerton Hotel was formerly home to Singapore's General Post Office. So it's really a heritage hotel, which is today home to 400 stunning rooms and suites. If you have clients staying at the Fullerton Hotel, make sure to take advantage of the free heritage tour offered to guests. And it's actually also available to guests that's staying at the Fullerton Bay Hotel. And across the road, set on the Marina Bay waterfront, the Fullerton Bay Hotel is somewhat more contemporary and comprises of 100 spectacular rooms and suites. One thing I definitely recommend when your client's staying at either hotel, or even if they're not staying at a Fullerton Hotel, is to enjoy a cocktail at the Lantern Outdoor Bar at the Fullerton Bay Hotel, which has stunning sunset and bay views. Absolutely beautiful. And the recently opened Capital Kempinski Hotel mixes heritage and luxury. The hotel occupies 2 elegant and historic spots, the Capitol Building and the adjacent Stamford House in the city's civic and cultural district, making it an ideal Singapore base. Inside, expect a blend of heritage and luxury across the 155 guest rooms and suites, which are made up of more than 50 configurations. So make sure that you talk to the hotel sales agents to get the right hotel room for your clients. There's also a spa, gym, a bar dedicated to rooms, and restaurants, including the German-inspired Frida, complete the elegant feature. And also, not to forget, there's also a champagne counter, as you see on the picture to your right. JW Marriott South Beach is located close to the Marina Bay District. The hotel features 634 sleek and stylish rooms, outdoor infinity pool with an amazing view of the city, It opened in late 2017, so maybe it's not so new, but who wouldn't like to sip a glass of champagne with such a view that you see there, both in the picture to the left and the picture to the right. And the Park Royal Hotel in Pickering is probably the most sustainable hotel in Singapore. This eco-friendly hotel opened a couple of years ago, but it's worth mentioning for your eco-conscious clients. It's quite spectacular with its novel hotel in a garden theme with 4 floors covered with vegetation. I also just want to mention the Capella Hotel Singapore, which is located on the Sentosa Island. The Capella Hotel is actually where President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had their first summit last year. The hotel features 74 guest rooms and 34 stunning villas with private plunge pools, along with a Auriga spa and a number of marvelous restaurants and bars. I also wanted to include a little bit of a suggested itineraries for your pre and post cruise stays for your clients. Basically, this itinerary that I put together for you sort of focuses on the cultural precincts or the cultural neighborhoods that we talked about, such as Chinatown. The Chinatown food complex is actually a hawker center, and this is where you would find the Michelin-rated Chef Chang, his food stall. I could definitely recommend your clients to go there. They just need to know that go there on the earlier side, so have an early lunch, and the lines might be a little bit long, but it's definitely worth going to. Kampong Glam, which is the Malay district or Malay neighborhood, is amazing. You can go to the Malay Heritage Center, you go to the Sultan Mosque. I think one of the things that's interesting about Singapore too is that there are several mosques, and the Sultan Mosque is probably the most beautiful and most iconic one of them, but you can go inside and visit, which I think is really unique and quite interesting. And I'd also mentioned the oldest restaurant in Singapore, Zam Zam. You should definitely try some murtabak, which is one of my other favorite things to eat in Singapore. You should also have your clients try one of the Singaporean favorite dishes, which is the chili crab. And served at places like Jumbo Seafood, where it's really quite famous. Another thing I like to do when I'm in Singapore is do the Singapore River Cruise. You can do it during the day or during the evening, and it just gives a really great view of what Singapore is all about. And your clients can actually drop off during the way, but it usually takes about an hour. So that was sort of day one. On day two, you should definitely have your clients experience the garden in the city. So I recommend for them to go to the Singapore Botanic Gardens, the National Orchid Garden, which has more than over 1,000 species of flowers. It's really quite spectacular. There's not a charge to go to the Singapore Botanic Gardens, but there is a $5 Singapore dollar charge to visit the National Orchid Garden. That's about $3 US. Then your clients can have lunch at the corner house, which is actually inside the gardens. And I think why it's really unique is because not only is it a Michelin-rated restaurant, but it's also a colonial bungalow, which is something that's very quite historic in Singapore. And one of my favorite places to go is Gardens by the Bay. I love the conservatories, Cloud Forest, and Flower Dome, and I love the super trees even more. And again, I can only emphasize that you must make sure that your clients go and see the light and sound show at night at 7:45 or 8:45 p.m. And of course, shopping is very big in Singapore too. I mentioned earlier that Orchard Road is the main shopping road with lots of shopping centers and unique stores, the Design Orchard Center, and many more things. But there's also the Marina Bay Sands, which is the iconic hotel with the infinity pool. And in conjunction with that, there's the Marina Bay Sands shops, which is quite unique as well. It has great stores and great restaurants as well. resources I wanted to share with you as well, because we do have a number of resources available to you, the travel agent, such as Singapore Passion Tours Collection. It's basically a booklet that I'll be happy to either email to you or send to you as a pamphlet, where we have a list of various tours that your clients could do in Singapore. It can be a foodie tour, where they basically go to a hawker center and they go to various stalls in various hawker centers, and it's usually about 3 hours or so, and there is sample food along the way, which is really quite nice as well. But there's something for, they could go bicycling, they could do Singapore like a local, or they could do Singapore after dark. So there's plenty of things that's offered to your clients. Let's see how far we got. So we're talking a little bit about the Vespa sidecar tours, which is another thing that just started last year in Singapore and it's been quite popular. Your client would actually not drive the Vespa sidecar by themselves, or actually have a guide doing that. And you could do like up to 5 people doing it together. It's really quite unique. I also want to mention that it's definitely also a family destination. There's plenty of fun for all ages in Singapore, whether it's the National Museum, to water parks, to beachside, to the Singapore Flyer and zip lining, and of course the Vespa sidecar tours too. I also want to mention that most cruise lines offer pre and post cruise days and shore excursions for Singapore. And as a matter of fact, Princess Cruises a little earlier this year launched a new shore excursion, Crazy Rich Singaporeans, that trails Nick and Rachel's visit to the hawker center, the wedding reception, and much more. We also have the Come Ashore to Singapore brochure that contains essential information about Singapore, how to navigate the city, how to transfer from airport to cruise terminals, as well as suggested itineraries for couples, families, and senior travelers as well. Other resources available to you is our website, visitsingapore.com, and here you'll find plenty of information about Singapore, from suggested experiences to itineraries by passionate Singaporeans, as well as information on cruising in and out of Singapore. And on the Tourism Information and Services Hub, you have access to images, videos to be used on your marketing material on the websites. And you will also find a list of suggested itineraries, as well as various passion tours with detailed information and ready for you to book for your clients. We also welcome you to connect with us on Facebook and Instagram as well, to stay updated on all new events and happenings in Singapore. So, in summary, Singapore may be a small country, but we have just begun to scratch the surface of all there is to see and do. It offers an ever-expanding range and depth of experiences that are easily accessible. Singapore's small size is actually an advantage to visitors because the experiences are all nearby each other. So I just want to say thank you for joining me today. I'm very honored that you spent your afternoon with me in Singapore. Singapore is definitely a place where inspiration is at every corner and where the possibilities are absolutely endless. It's a destination that feeds your spirit of discovery, allowing you to explore and live your passions, whether it's for food or exploring or culture. And Singapore connects you with like-minded people and experiences. So, and now I would love to answer any questions that you may have. If anybody has any questions, please just type them in and I'll be happy to answer them as best as I can. Did I really answer everybody's questions? Oh, you can send me, I just got an email from Eileen who's asking, how can I receive the brochure? So I'm just gonna, you can see my email is right here. If you sent me an email just asking for brochures for cruising and for Singapore in general with your address, I'll be happy to mail it out to you right away. This goes for anybody who would like the brochures. And of course, our website has a lot of information as well. We do also have maps that we can send out to you, which I think is quite interesting for your clients if they're not downloading the Google Map app. So let's see. Somebody is asking to have the Instagram information and the Facebook information available back on the screen. So here's listed. Here's where you can connect us with Facebook as well as Instagram as well. And we're quite active on Instagram and Facebook. We basically just make sure that we list events or tours, or sometimes it's just images that can entice people or just give them ideas of what's to see and do in Singapore. And it's really a very beautiful city, country. It's a small country, which I also think makes it easier to navigate. I can see somebody's asking, okay, somebody would like my email again, so I'll be happy to put that up there. So it's Brit_Ulrich@stb.gov.sg, just to make sure you have that Brit_Ulrich. And also, of course, if you have any questions, if something comes up tomorrow you have questions about, or if you have clients that need some detailed information, just shoot me an email or give me a call and I'll be happy to help. That's what we're here for. So no other questions. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and Emily as well. And it was my honor to have you listen in on this presentation. And if there's anything we can help you with, please do feel free to be in touch. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Britt. That was a wonderful presentation. I really want to go to Singapore now. Thank you. As Britt said, thank you everyone for joining. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, this recording will be made available on our CLIA Global YouTube channel. So if you missed anything, you can check back there or share it with your colleagues. So thank you very much, and everyone have a good afternoon.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.